Shankar here. I have a group of experts who are here to just share their knowledge, thoughts about role of parents in board exams. Because today we always not sure what parents must have to do, and in Indian context board exam is something very big, because families get prepared for years together to face a board exam, because when the child crosses 6th standard, 7th standard, the entire family start talking about board exams are going to come. I mean, it's not very far, and so from some point of time the child is also a little psyched about the word called as board exam. So I have experts who come from different backgrounds who can actually share their thoughts. We are going to go ahead and analyze various aspects of what parents go through, what children actually go through. Sometimes it is a lot of stress for them. Sometimes it is challenge for certain kids. That is something what we are going to go through right now.
I'm PC Balasubramanian. I'm a chartered accountant by qualification. I run a business assurance company. I also write books, and I'm also a speaker.
One of the very interesting book from Bala, which I have personally read, and it was very interesting, was Panch Tantra. That was his first book, and today he have authored more books. Panch Tantra is learnings from Rajini's Panch dialogue, so which is something interesting for anybody to read.
I'm Dr. Kausalya Nathan. I'm into lifestyle management and anti-aging medicine. So I'm associated with Apollo Spectra Hospitals now, and I'm a speaker and I'm in the media as well. And I'm also a researcher, especially with nutrition-based researcher, and probably been in this field for now nearly 20 years.
Again, Kausalya, I have this opportunity years back to work with her in a particular program. So we structured a program by name Inner Health. So she is extremely good in anti-aging methodologies, techniques, which each and every one of us actually need. And maybe what we were doing from OnlySuccess is more of mind-related techniques, what helps somebody to keep their health up. So that is something what we did together years back. But she has established herself very well as an expert. She consults a lot of people, helps them to remain younger for a long time. So that is something what she is good at.
My name is Dr. Mohan Sundaram. I have been in the field of teaching for the last more than 3 decades. I am very passionate in understanding the problems of the weak students, why they are not doing well in the examinations, finding out the root cause, and also giving counseling for the students as well as the parents. So probably for the last more than 10 years as an administrator, as a principal, dean, director of a few institutions, I have learned a lot and maybe share it with the parents what they are supposed to do to make the children successful in the board examinations.
Again, Dr. Mohan Sundaram, I mean, I've seen live, I visited the colleges where he was principal, today director. So the kind of inspiration what he can bring it to the institute as a whole is phenomenal. It's something wonderful, because first thing is students have the privilege to go and talk to him directly. I've never seen in any institute. So he gets on to the ground, he understands challenges of students, he realizes each and every student has some capability which is really wonderful. So he puts all the effort to bring out the best from each and every child, and for him there is no student who is a bad student. That is something what I have learned from him personally. So he always feels every child has the best part in him. It is teacher's job to bring out the best, and he's one of the teachers who can inspire them for lifetime, who can make them achieve great things for life, right? That is something what Dr. Mohan Sundaram is. And to the panel, one of the question what I want to ask is this, because is it right, because as the Indian culture is, we are so much psyched up about the board exams. Is it the same in any other place across the globe, or only we are so much stressed about the board exams?
I have two sons. One has already crossed the stage of appearing for board exam. The other one will be appearing very soon. So I will speak more from a parent side and representing parents. I feel you are absolutely right. It is the importance given to board exam is, perhaps is my humble feeling, is unduly high in our country. The kind of emphasis we give is extremely high. I'm not saying it is right or wrong, but it is extremely high. So the entire family goes through a huge amount of stress. As you rightly said, it's not during his or her 10th standard. It starts right from 8th standard, 9th standard, or even earlier. And today it's starting at 5th standard itself. So the stress level is extremely felt across all the family members. When you have a ward of that age, which is not, she may be the right person to say whether it is good or not, but I firmly believe that it may not be to this extent.
To coming to your question, if this is the same scenario globally, do we all have experience this particular thing of the pressure board exam? But partially yes and a no, but I don't think it is that acute issue like how we have here in India. Because somewhere the culture for us, which has come into our culture of, academics is everything. That's what each and every mother and father believes in. My belief, I pass it on to the kids. So that's where the whole chain of, transformation of belief from the parent to the kid happens. And that is definitely a tremendous stress. I think I see it with kids, with parents and with school. Because as we all know, that each kid has come with one capacity and ability. So if you take my own son, he's in 11th grade now, I see him, he's a creative child. But then if I have to box him into a CBSE curriculum, there is nothing for arts and design in CBSE curriculum. But I am only trying to box, I have this, I have to put this into this and zip it somehow, it won't enter. But I have to make sure that something which is a misfit, which doesn't fit. So imagine the amount of pressure. You have to put your feet into an ill-fitting shoes. Will it go in? It won't go in, but still I have to do it. Whether I'll cut my toes, or I will bleed, or I will squeeze it to my best of ability to fit in. That is what we are all trying to do, and then you can imagine the amount of pressure a child goes through, the parent goes through, the environment goes through, and the school also have to kind of accommodate with that kind of a pressure. And there is peer pressure for the kid, because at 12th grade they're all 17 years, 16, 17 in the teenage kind of a thing. So it's absolutely stress bogging them down from all aspects of being. So that's the worrisome part, because recently in big schools, leading schools, you see suicide rates are high, before the board exam or after the result. This is becoming a very big problem. And if you go back into the history of what that whole child, for example, in one of the leading schools, which happened last year, if you go back into the history through the principal, the child was consistently a topper. The child committed suicide without even writing the board exam, with the fear or the pressure of, will I be able to live up to the expectation of the school and the family? So he doubted that, and then there he ends his life. That was a real life story which I'm quoting here. So what I'm trying to kind of bring here is, I think academics is important, we all know, but I think it is not everything. As you rightly said, interaction with Mr. Mohan Sundaram, that I think his belief system is what we all have to learn. I think probably we need more training from him to know that each child has a potential. The problem is, I don't know, until I see it in my child, I am worried. So he is able to see it in every child. So I think he is the best person to probably put us all in one proper perspective to see how beautiful. Rose is beautiful, sunflower is beautiful, jasmine is nice. Because jasmine is small doesn't mean it's inferior. Sunflower may be big doesn't mean it's the king of all flowers. So that variety of a bouquet which is available and exists, for us to get the feel of it, we need somebody to say, listen, I can also smell something in it. That's a jasmine. Because it's small, don't compare it with sunflower. I think the best person I would probably like to hear more and understand and learn is from Doctor.
Okay.
Thank you.
Actually, in the educational institutions the world over, they follow a concept called Bloom's taxonomy. Dr. Bloom devised a taxonomy, learning levels. There, the bottommost level is remembering. Then comes understanding, then applying, then analyzing, then evaluating. The last component will be based on whatever he has learned, he will be able to create something, maybe a concept or a product. That's how it has been designed. But whereas in India, whether it is at school level or engineering college, professional colleges, medical college, wherever it is, we are only stuck at the bottommost level of remembering. We don't take the students to the next higher levels. That's why we are finding it difficult to produce good scientists, the lot of patents which are not coming, because our students at the school level and professional colleges, they are not trained for higher levels of learning. So who is to be blamed for this? Only the universities, they are preparing the curriculum, and the school authorities who design the education system, the evaluation system, all has to be changed. But currently, my answer to your question is, it is giving undue pressure on the students. Many students who are very creative, they compromise. Simply because I have to earn marks,
Yeah.
I have to get into professional courses like medicine, engineering, whatever it is, I will stop thinking about all other things by heart. Okay, remember, reproduce. My first aim is to get marks. Then we will think about all other things. By the time he reaches 25 or 20, still he is remembering only, learning. So at the young age, peak age, where the minds will be very creative, our education system is not allowing the students to be creative. That's it.
So is it that as a panel you all agree that there is a lot of pressure on students?
Undoubtedly.
Is it a fact? And so that opens up the next thought. So as a parent, what you should do? You should, because I don't think any parent is going to agree, oh, it's a lot of pressure, so let me keep quiet. Let them do whatever they want. So I'm not sure whether as a parent you all have done that. So as a parent, what a parent should do?
See, it's like this. We all agree that there is undue pressure, but doesn't mean that these students cannot go through this process. It's a huge population, student community. There has to be some filtering process. So, who's better in what, whether you are securing so much A grade, B grade, or in terms of some percentage. So these exams will continue, have to continue. There has to be some filtering process. Otherwise, how will you, move up somebody or take somebody to an engineering course or a medical course or arts and science, that could be accounting or whatever. So there has to be filtering, no two ways about it. But the pressure, we are only talking about the level of pressure that is being applied, not by the students on themselves, the surroundings, be it teachers, school, or the family members. So prepare them, because what you face in school, what you face in your young age, you're going to face the rest of your life. When you get into a career also, there's going to be intense competition. So you need to be performing every other day. And even the world of sports you take today, since we are all Indians and we love cricket, you take the kind of competition that goes into to get into the even an Indian team, to get into one of the IPL teams. So it is very, very intense, and if you don't perform for 2-3 matches, you are out. And for you to come back, it is going to take a very, very long time. And for that also, you need to put in a lot of hard work. You need to be lucky, etc., etc. So that preparedness is important. That you have to really slog, you have to work hard, and you have to be very, very consistent. So I will not say that this is not important, but what I am saying is, give some room for a poor performance. Give some room for some failures in some parts. Okay, so everybody cannot score 98%, 99%. It can differ. So give some room for your wards to score a little less than others. Doesn't mean bad at all. But ensure that they are prepared to face the world. And then schools are doing a good job in terms of creating that preparedness among students.
It's predominantly this because maybe the people who get into the right course, whichever is in demand that time, that's all above 90, right? If you want a specific undergraduation, you must have to be above 90. So anything below that is not good. So as a parent, will you accept your child to be lower? I'm not specific to you, I mean any parent. Is it that, will they be okay if it is?
See, actually, I feel every child, every parent, I mean, all of us here would love to see our kids, send them in mathematics, send them in science. I love it. I'm sure all of us love it too. So we can't deny the fact that, I mean, I am okay with the 30% or 50%. Like, all of us love the 100, which is probably a great number, no doubt. They're excelling. So because we like our kid to excel in something. But having said this, when we are talking here specifically about 12th grade, by now the parent definitely, more than the school, the parent knows. As a mother, I know the capability of my son very well. Whether he's a center material or he's a 60% material or he is more than 90% is something at 11th, 12th grade, when the child is in 12th, I clearly know my kid so well. So we know. So why create an unnecessary expectation in your mind to be a center when your son or a son or your daughter is not in a center in a mathematics? So that's the point that you start thinking where he's good at. There's something more probably. He may not be good in mathematics, but he may be good in science, or he may be good in art and design, or he may be good in sociology. He may be good in politics. He may be good in. See, there are more avenues. But one more thing, Vidya, we need to understand here at this point. We're talking 12th grade is. Just engineering, medicine, or doing a CA or doing a PhD is not just everything, because in the 10 years the generation has proved it wrong. Like you, for example, you're an entrepreneur yourself. You're a trainer. If 20 years before, trainer means probably we wouldn't even know such an avenue existed. Now you connect with kids, and the work that you do is absolutely very lateral. To give an example, it's absolutely lateral from what the norm was. You didn't join a bank or become a vice president of a company, or you're not a CEO of a company, but you run your own company. And then the way the message you pass on to the kids, the amount of training you bring in, the value you bring in, it's absolutely new. It's a very new concept. Now you talk about wedding planners. The generation is talking about creativity in some form. You're fashion designing. The tailor has become a fashion designer. A salon person has become an makeup artist. See, I think somewhere the trend of profession has changed. So we need to kind of embrace it with positivity. Creativity is flowing in from the generation, and academics is not. They have proved very clearly that I don't have a PhD or a post graduation to manage a company. You are the CEO of company. You don't have to be a PhD or an IAM MBA to be an CEO of your company. So what you need is experience, knowledge, how we learn from observing environment around, the reading that is there, and how we approach the professionals on the right time to get the inputs. I think it makes it all. So somewhere a parent has to step down. I do it, so probably I'm happy to share here that I know my kids' ability in mathematics, my kids' ability in art and design. So I set my expectation to it, where my son feels that yes, I can do it. So without me saying you have to be 100% to get into NID, or you have to be 100% to clear your UCID examination, which is supposed to be the leading examinations for art and design, I just tell him that you do what you are best at. When time comes, we'll take it. So the child feels, yes, there's no pressure, there is time for me, and I can work around it. So kids can crack it even in 3 months, you never know. So because their abilities keep changing in environment. So the environmental factors from the parenting, which I think is to give the child the reassurance that he is loved irrespective of a centum in mathematics, being a topper in whatever, and if he's going to be less than the 90% norm, which is probably the norm set as you rightly said, average or below average, still the child is wanted, loved, and there is scope and hope and light for the child in the future.
I completely agree. If the parent can convey that still you are loved, irrespective of your scores, so that makes a huge difference for the child. I mean, that propel them to achieve a lot more things. And apart from it, to Sir, I'm going to ask a different question. Say, assume if the child is average or below average, what kind of opportunities they have today, what they can possibly do?
For this question, based on my more than 30 years of exposure to the field of education, I would like to give statistics. Like, you collect all the list of students who have got state first rank in SSLC, okay? Then you find out where they stand now. That is one statistics. The other one is you take all the leaders, those who have achieved in the field of science, education, medicine, whatever it is. One side, those who have achieved success in the board examinations, down the line what they are now. And you take a list of those who have achieved in life, okay, they are leaders, prominent people, and what is their history when they were in schools. It will be
Right.
totally contrary. If the if the parents can make the wards understand that being successful in life, professionally as well as in personal life, has no correlation to your marks in the
Marks.
board examinations.
True.
If that is made clear, the parent should know that, he should understand getting a state rank, state first rank or district first rank, school first, doesn't matter at all. Whether he has acquired the other skills which will make him professionally successful,
Absolutely.
personally successful is more important. This awareness the parents should get.
Well said.
We all think, I mean, somebody who is good in studies should always be, at least parents,
Definitely.
most of the parents think that way. Maybe I'll say 80-90% of parents are feel very assured if the child is doing very well in school, but when it comes to real life, it is completely different, right? Just to ask some quick questions to all of you, right? I mean, how much correlation you feel is there between success in school, I mean scores, and success in life? Yes, no.
There is no yes or no to this. I totally agree with what Dr. Monasundram said, beautifully explained. But we are talking about a major population which needs to survive. There are very few achievers. In any field, there are very few achievers. The majority of the population is managing to survive, get a decent opening in a job, in a company, or even if you're an entrepreneur, get into something which is very, very safe, which is not completely new, so that you're safeguarded. Because we all most of us come from middle class, lower middle class, and poor family, and hence there's always a fear. There is a fear factor. Nobody knows who's going to achieve. Okay, so that fear factor is something that propels us and propels the students also to do something which is an acceptable standard. We can talk so many things here, but tomorrow a company which is recruiting, okay, they look into which institution you are from, what is your grade. So they are not looking at merely your passion. Your passion you will achieve after 10 years, 20 years, you may not even achieve. But to make an entry somewhere, to earn your first bread and butter, you need all of this. You need all of this. So unless that changes, all of this cannot change.
That's a good point.
So we have to be careful about it. And my only request is, leave the students. Dr. Kausalya put it very, very nicely. Leave it to the students. I mean, and believe me, at 14, 15 years of age, they are mature enough to understand what they want to do in their lives. Our interference should not be there beyond a point. We can only be guided. We can be a guide. Don't interfere. Because every child's desire is something. Just guide them, support them on that. Support them on that. And I also should say that there is so much of noise around startup, entrepreneurship, etc. Not everybody should do that, in my opinion. Because we get to hear only success stories. For every one successful story, there are hundreds and hundreds of people who have lost so many things in their lives, and also many years of their career in their lives. So choose what is good for you, what you are interested in, what you are capable of. So this has to continue. Parents, please support your wards. Give them good food. You need to make some sacrifice. I'm telling one thing, if they are getting into some higher education, 9th, 10th standard, 12th standard, etc., don't think that every hour they have to sit on the desk and study. Let them play, let them watch movies, go out for social events. Do that, because this is how your life is going to be. Okay, these 3 years, if you lock your child and ask him only to prepare for the exams, they will score very highly perhaps, but everything else they will forget in life. They may not even know how to relate to people. Don't do that. So your life has to be reasonably normal, and then focus could be on studies.
This is something, a brilliant point, because I completely agree with PZ here, in the sense, see, there are companies who look at their even 10th scores.
Correct.
I've come across some very big names who go to the 10th grade scores to check whether I can hire that person or not. So when it comes to the initial career start, maybe that becomes very important, and majority of people fall in average or above average category when it comes to livelihood kind of thing. Nobody wants to be the the one of million kind of thing is very few. So in that context, that becomes very, very important. And again, see, just to ask you, Dr. Kausalya, the question is, say, what is the limit to which parents can go? I mean, should they, because I've seen parents who study 12th,
No, yes,
along with their kids, right?
True,
So
true.
who know almost every chapter,
Yeah.
who prepare notes for the child. I mean, whatever they learned in their
True.
undergraduation, post-graduation, they literally do it. I know parents who have taken 1 month off. I mean, I have one of my friends who works in Saudi Arabia. He has taken 1.5 months off from his work. He stayed here through the entire exam. I'm not sure what kind of pressure that had on the child, right? And so there are parents who study 12th, right? There are parents who aid them to some extent, or who support them, stay awake till the time the child sleeps, all those kind of things. So where they should draw the line? Because I'm not sure how the
That's a
child
good
will feel.
question. True. That's a good question, Vidya. But here, fundamentally, you have to understand is each child is different. So some child may need hand-holding.
True.
Some child may need that freedom. Some child may need guidance. Some children may need, mentoring. Some children may need additional support. Probably if he's an IIT aspirant, he may need an additional support. So I think to your the wonderful question, we have to understand our child better. So for example, if I take my child has needed hand holding for a little longer than the rest of the kids, his peer group, which is not a problem for me. In fact, I like doing it. So that little bit of a hand holding maybe some children may need. And I have my cousin, my niece. So for her, she's much younger, but then she's an independent child. She does everything on her own and doing her homework. She doesn't need anybody. If she's got any doubt, she would like to clarify. Otherwise, she comes home, she's got her own schedule done, she has her own timetable done, she does her own things meticulously. So whether it's dance, she's got it done. So I think with children, each one of them are very different. They want from the parent is very, very, very different. And we have to understand what level they need, and we have to give an entry and support to that level, and we should also know where we should step back and say, okay, now you go. So it's more like in a very calculated observation that we need to give or bring into our kids, because we have two kids, both of them are very different. One won't aspire to something else, one has no clue what he wants to do.
Right.
Even after 12th, I do see kids who doesn't know what they want to do after 12th. In fact, I like it. I actually feel that those kids have less stress because they're happy at some point, to be open to, okay, I have 4 options, I will settle with one. If I say I want to be an IIT and the parent put a pressure on the IIT aspirant from the grade 6th grade, put in all kind of, jumbled courses here, there, and the child, as he rightly said, lost out on, human touch and society touch. And then at some point, with 1 point, not 1%, the child fails. We have seen if somebody couldn't care, the girl has to, she kind of, kill herself. So somewhere down the line, that whole ambition should not become that's the ultimate thing in life, and there's nothing more to life than getting into IIT. So that balance, parents have to understand, and we have to absorb our kids completely, and we should be matured enough to know how to kind of gear the whole thing around, or mentally, emotionally, physically, to get the child get through the 12. So somewhere it's less stress on us and on the child is what I feel.
We will be missing out something if I don't ask this question to you. Free health tip for kids who are going to face board exams. Similar to that, free health tip. It can be, I know you're good in mental health also, so free health tip for parents when the kids are going to face the board exams. What they should do?
So I think for kids, first thing is believe you're the best. Okay, I just feel that they are the best. There's no way that you are inferior. Just because somebody is 100 and you are got 50, 60, just believe you're the best. Okay? Yes, the environment is going to be pressurizing. Don't succumb to it. Okay? Believe in yourself more than whatever is going to reflect in the marks. For example, I'm not the topper, but my school feels I have probably in my batch I have probably is the best or the maximum achiever or whatever. I never thought I would be doing a PhD in biochemistry because I was running away from chemistry. I tell my son this, your passion somewhere drives, you never know, where it goes. Even I want to do my American board in lifestyle medicine now. So my son is asking, you forever want to be studying what? It's not about studying, it's about learning to unlearn. I feel if I have to see a patient, first I have to unlearn. So each patient is different. So in medicine, because I've been in this, so the whole thing is books and marks is not everything. You are the best. Okay, the creator has created you uniquely and you have all the potential. Just because it didn't reflect in somewhere which probably the society has fixed as mark, don't get bogged down. There's more to life than this 12th grade marks. That's the one thing which I want each child to kind of understand. Second thing is, when you have an aspiration and goal, have a programmed way of doing it. You know, make a protocol, make a plan. If you want to get into IIT, you want to get into AIIMS, you want to clear NEET, or you have NIT, whatever it is, just have a programmed way of doing it so that there is enough time, quality time to spend with the family, quality time to spend with your academics, because it's good time to kind of have sleep, because if they lose out on sleep, you know, which most of the kids do with prolonged night hours of sleep, the memory goes down. There is a study which has proven that your memory, recollection, and
So how much time we should sleep?
at least minimum 8 hours
8
is
hours.
mandatory. 8 to 9 hours is mandatory. It can be even probably 6 hours in the night and 2 hours in the daytime during the study holiday period or whatever it is. So the resting period is what is very important for the brain to calm down, to assimilate, and to work better. Otherwise you lose on the efficiency. Not only here, even in work productivity, the efficiency comes down marginally. In fact, the recent study is 66%. It comes down. Imagine, 66% of the productivity comes down if there is a lack of sleep.
Sleep.
You know, yeah, because we are now busy with all these media and
That's right.
social, you know, networking stuff with Facebook and Twitter and stuff. And the third point I would like to probably suggest the +2 boys or girls is stay off this social network till you finish your exams. Completely switch it off from it, because it's only disturbs. There's no value added service coming from it. There's no question paper appearing on Facebook. There's no advice which is coming on Facebook. It's only mentally bogging you down, like, you know, negatively, because you feel somewhere, look at them, they are having good fun, look at me, I am sitting with the book, you know, look at her. The comparison without your knowledge with the family to family, or what fun they have and why am I this, without our knowledge, it settles down in that young mind. So these are the 3 things which I would probably suggest and advise kids to take it in that way to move on with the exam. So when it comes to parent, believe in your child, believe in him or her that he will do very well in life. +2 is something, yes, it's an important kind of a mark to cross, but believe in your child that he will do very well in your board exam. Believe, that is the first thing which they have to do. Second thing is, never compare. Never compare. Even you have 2 kids, don't compare them. You know, the comparison puts them off, because this generation kids are super sensitive kids, because one child or maximum 2 children. So that whole immunity of mental sensitivity is way high. You can't tell a kid, why did you do this? They retaliate. You know, they don't want to be questioned why, what. That whole thing is very different to them. So that's the second part I would like to. And third is about the nutrition. That I would like to mention is, nutrition plays a tremendous role in the health of the child before the board exam. So hydration level, like water intake or juice or fruits and fresh vegetables and freshly cooked food, because now they're all moving into ordering food from outside. So I think the role of the mother and a father, if he can, should be to provide them with the best of home cooked food, which probably will make all the difference, because they will get into emotional eating when they are writing the examination. So when there is emotional eating, you want to be eating some sweet, you want to be eating chocolate, you want to have something spicy or chatpat or whatever. Just make it at home and then provide them with that kind of support them with the emotional eating, so that the health is not affected with the outside influence.
Perfect. Thank you. Say 3 things for students who are average or below average, because students who are like good, above average, good number of times, they get that faith or they get a lot of support from many society. So predominantly students who are average, below average, which I personally feel you are an expert in handling or bringing up those kind of kids. So some 3 things which they have to if you need to tell those children, what is that?
First of all, everybody is a genius. I believe
I
that.
like it.
But he may be average in maths,
Correct.
good in sports, excellent in sports. So, as a parent, I should not trust him to do something where he is naturally average. Everybody is naturally brilliant in some other field, but they should believe that the parents are not exercising undue pressure. Even if I don't fare well, fail, my parent understands that this is my natural capability. So the student should feel, if I fail, I can easily fall back upon my dad. He will support me in those areas where I am strong. For example, he may ask me to join a sports school, become an athlete, become a sports person. So that kind of thing, that belief that students should develop. They should not think, if I score less marks, then I cannot go home. He will give a punishment. That's why people commit suicide. Having known that they have to pass the board examinations, getting 60%, 70% is sufficient. Then afterwards, after the basic exams are over, he can be joined in so many other courses where he is naturally talented. In my own case, after the plus 2 exam, my son gave me a movie of the 3D Idiot. He gave it to me and my wife. She is also a professor. He wanted to become a tennis player. He didn't want to go for MBBS. He gave it, okay, you go through this movie and tomorrow morning you give me a good news. He was very passionate to become a tennis player. Then we saw the 3 Idiot movie, finally decided, no, that's only for movie. But when it comes to my son's life, he should become a doctor. So we thrust our desire on he was not likely to study biology. He wanted to study maths, physics, chemistry and computer science. Then we said, anyway, if you study biology, you will know something about the physical, the body. So for knowledge sake, you just study that. So accidentally, he opted for biology. But he scored very good marks in biology, physics, chemistry and everything. So we made him as a doctor now. Even now, while seeing a tennis player playing, Roger Federer plays like that, he used to say, you two people, you have prevented India getting a nice tennis player. That strong feeling is there still in his mind. Same thing for, I'm telling this, this is a mistake which I have made as a parent. So all other parents, they want to be safe. They think only if my son become an engineer or a doctor or an architect, their life is safe. But really, they can excel. For that, they should act like a parent only. They should not become the decision maker. Doing parenting is totally different. There are so many professional counselors available. They conduct a lot of tests and they can find out where this boy or girl can excel. Then we have to find out ways and means of grooming or developing that child. So the question of what to do with the average child is, everybody is a genius, but they are average in the fields where they don't like, where they cannot naturally perform. So we have to find out where he can excel. So initially itself, he could have been joined in a sports school where they may become a world-class athlete. So like that, artists, many parents are doing it, but they are minority. I know some of the parents, they have never admitted their son or daughter in the schools. They do home education. That tendency is now coming.
Correct.
Whatever that child likes, okay, she wants to learn dance, music, whatever it is, they are learning. So that is coming up in a small way. But this is what a parent should do. That is not exercising pressure on the child. You do well. If you perform well, it is okay. Even if you don't perform well, the results are not acceptable, then I am here to support you in the field where you can excel. This is my responsibility.
This is something really wonderful of you to go ahead and accept. Right? This is something what I really felt, which very little parent can possibly do it. And I would like to ask you if you need to say three things what children can learn from Rajini's life.
Dr. Monasundaram spoke
Or maybe
about,
from his punch dialogues.
very apt line is there, and Dr. Monasundaram spoke about 3 idiots. See, I am a firm believer that lessons are around us. It can come from movies, it can come from your own, people that you meet, irrespective of the kind of people that you meet. And in Rajini's Panchtantra, because he spoke about the book, there is a beautiful dialogue which he uttered in one of his movies. And it is very relevant for your board exams, for the students as well as for the parents. வாழ்க்கையில பயம் இருக்கலாம், ஆனா பயமே வாழ்க்கையா இருக்கக்கூடாது. You can fear, you can have some fear. See, having some fear is actually healthy. But the fear cannot dominate your life. And to even add one more line, whatever happens, whether the student gets 50 or 60, it is over. Kadam முடிஞ்சு போச்சுன்னு and you go to the next level. Don't worry, don't keep digging the past. Leave it.
So I mean, just to call it as a session concluded, say what I understand is this is a system which children must have to go through it. Parents must have to go through it. It is about how they handle it, and every child is capable. Every child has a future if and its parents can always support to make that happen. So I take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for spending your valuable time. Thanks.
Thank you so much.